Good
You can
now.
see. Okay,
Yeah.
excellent. So this is behind Hereford Lighthouse, little pano I did, Dawn. There's a lot of lighthouses in this show, and this is Jersey, it's Avalon. I'm just gonna start rolling. Atlantic City, quite a while ago, another panoramic. So I was obsessed with Sandy. When Sandy hit our shore, I did a lot of photography. So you're going to see smatterings of some Sandy stuff here because our Jersey completely changed. Jersey Shore has transformed after it was ripped up by Sandy. Besides beach replenishments, which are fine, but changed the face of the beach. And all the old wood that used to stick up in the ocean, it's just been cleaned up. This is the Long Branch Fishing Pier. Now, why do I say that? It's a bunch of rocks from an old jetty, right down by Pier Village in New Jersey, right near where we all live, that live near Pier Village. But it is actually the location of the Long Branch Fishing Pier in terms of the tide chart. It's very interesting. I don't know if there ever was a pier here, or was it the actual pier, Lillian?
So because I looked at those rocks every day for 8 years, 9 years, because I used to work on the pier, they were in front. They were those were on the north side of the pier.
On the north side. Okay, cool. That's really interesting to know since I didn't go to the fishing pier much. Wow, you guys, there's no respect. What's up, Gary? You got to get on the show, my friend. I'm in the middle.
Is it virtual?
Yeah, it's virtual. I sent you a link. Just join. Bye. Maybe he drove somewhere. Okay. So thank you, Lil. That was really good information. I love knowing that. Okay, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about me, though all of you on this already pretty much know about me. But this is Lance and I at work in the film business. This is a show we were on in Jamaica. This is when we began the romance of our life. We were very good friends for years before and worked with this cameraman, Larry Banks, for many years before we were anything but friends. Now, Jamaica did it to us, but here we are now. So just wanted to show you some transformation. So back to what I do, just so that you know who I am. So this is my people photography, my portrait photography, which is how I get myself to the beach, which is, it's really fun to do. It's very difficult. There's always changing conditions, as so many of you who are photographers know. So it's just a little smattering, and Asbury Park, which is what I still consider the beach, even though there are buildings. I also do panoramic shots at the beach, candids, but also large group shots at the beach. And I like to do them right before the nightfall because it looks so great, but not everybody can schedule themselves that way. So sometimes we have them right in the middle of the day. Not my favorite time, but they still look great. I also have been doing headshots for quite a while. I occasionally do weddings, usually second weddings. Those are my favorites, maybe third. I also run workshops with Tony Sweet. This is a portrait from a group from our Cape May workshop this year. And here is Cuba in 2018. There's Gloria and Dick right there, standing next to me. And then just ultimately, since COVID, I have been making posters for the Long Branch Department of Health and also the water campaign for people to drink fresh water. And so I have a pretty brisk commercial business, once again, thanks to Lisa Kelly. And I also work at New Jersey Repertory, photographing the theatrical events for marketing. I am their staff photographer. So that's just a little bit about me. So back to the beach. So this is North Long Branch. Yeah.
Do you use filters on these? It's almost that hazy, purpley, pinky is that something that you add, or is that the natural? I mean,
That's
it's
a great
resort
question, Dee.
destination.
Yeah,
It's
that's a
resort
great question.
destination. Thank you. It's a resort destination, but you make it so appealing. Even
No,
more.
I'm going to explain. Let me
Yeah.
explain to you, because it's really, so this is a long exposure, and this is dawn. So this is just before the sun is popping up over the horizon. So in Jersey, in the spring, the sky is pink. In the fall, the sky is pink. It's a Jersey phenomenon, and maybe other places too, but this pink is very prevalent, this purpley pink in the north end of Long Branch and also in Asbury. Just, I don't know, I see pink in the morning, but I also see a lot of yellow, but it is very pink and purple here. This is a minute-long exposure. So yes, there is a filter on the camera, but it was also pretty dark out. But I left the camera open so long enough that it brought the light into the sensor. And this is how it read the light. And what that foggy, misty thing that you're experiencing is when things move and they're continually allowed, the light of the movement and light is allowed into the camera, it smooths things out. So this is a choppy ocean, so it's kind of misty. But sometimes if you see like a long exposure of say a river, it's like glass. But because the waves are constantly moving and breaking, you get this Mists of Avalon thing going on, which I love.
It's gorgeous. It's just
Did that
gorgeous.
answer your question?
Oh my
Dee?
God. Yeah. And it puts you into it. It's beautiful. It's just beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. So Tony and I Tony Sweet. I work with Tony Sweet a lot, and we did Ellis Island for 3.5 years. Unfortunately, when Ellis Island closed, everything changed. And now it's back open, but they're not doing photo tours at the moment. Anyway, we always go early and we always take shots across the bow at New York City. And this is an infrared photograph, which is why the trees are yellow. It is not fall. And again, some New York City. I love pilings in water, and the birds made a little, orchestra of themselves with Midtown in the background. This is where I visited Lance when he goes to work. Sometimes there's a stage right on the river, right across from Midtown, near the 59th Street Bridge. And there's these pilings, and I sit in the parking lot and watch stuff with the trucks. It's like a PA's job with a photographer, with a camera. I just wish I was getting paid for that. That'd be great. So many of you know this, many of you might not, but I'm obsessed with the culture of beach life. And I love photographing with my infrared camera. This is a color infrared camera. If you have any questions about that, we can talk about it a little bit, but it is a different animal. And so if you are truly interested, you can please email me at andrea@andreaphox.com. I'll put my email in the chat. I'm happy to introduce you to infrared and send you to some things, but doctors use these cameras. Eye doctors use infrared cameras. Dentists use infrared cameras. X-rays are a kind of infrared camera. It's basically the ability to see light beyond the spectrum. The camera can see light and color beyond the spectrum of what our eyes can see. So in one sense, it's invisible, but it certainly is not invisible just to our eyes. This is the Deal Casino pool. As this is the Deal Casino pool. So this is the big beach club that I grew up attending, and I now attend as an adult, and my daughter now works there. So it's just a life of culture at the beach. There's a lot of great memories. I have a lot of friends from long ago that go here, and the pool is amazing. And that's Jersey beach life. Unlike many other places, we have lots of cement along our beaches where we all go.
It's so vibrant. It becomes alive with that. It's beautiful.
So the infrared, thank you, Dee. The infrared is also, this is our locker block. This is where we have our locker. And it is infrared. And it is an energy reading. I do think of infrared as reading energy because light is energy. So yeah, vibrancy works with the 590 nanometers. Some people find it oversaturated. It's a good discussion to have. I go both ways, saturated and not so saturated. Again, more infrared. So this was during COVID. Lots of reporting about how the beaches were dead and you couldn't go on. You've got your police line crossing, your masked dudes from New York with their camera reporting. We had a quiet summer for a while because no one was going, and then it blew up and everyone was going. Some more Guild Casino subjects. This one's called Three Chairs. You can see how infrared can see through actual clothing and skin. If you look at the subject, the woman who's moving her chair to get in the right position to watch whomever it is she has been tasked to watch, you can literally see through her legs. It's a very mysterious medium, infrared. This is also infrared. Oh, here's my daughter. You gotta let her in and give me the rundown later. So D, this is a long exposure, an infrared long exposure that I also took a paintbrush to when it was all done. So you can see the that the people are multiple they're just moving, but I'm catching them like in their movement. So it's got a ghosty feeling to it.
Yes.
Fun stuff.
Yes.
And speaking of Sarah, poor Sarah. So this is Kate May, and we made her model for us. There was a hard shadow on these little beach. This is Kate May's not Grand Hotel, the Congress Hall's version of beach lockers. So you get this little tent and it's yellow and white, and the sun was very hard and she was throwing shadows all over these and dancing around with the bun in her hair. It was pretty fun. So this is one of my favorite subjects in Kate May, and I struggle with this subject. This is looks slightly soft to you because this lens, when I used this lens, it had an adapter because I needed a tight lens, and it distorted and destroyed the image crispness. So I keep going back and shooting this, but why I show this to you is that's Venus, and that's a certain time in the sky. So I run to Cape May. As a matter of fact, in March, there's a 3-planet lineup in Cape May that I'm planning to go to. This is during the day, same lighthouse, same image, different lens, different day. This is a 500 millimeter. So by the beach, especially where there's fishing boats, in Cape May, there are big fishing boats. We get a lot of our seafood from Cape May. And this is their netting that is all bundled up on the side. So when we go in our workshops and go shoot the fishing boats, we walk around and also photograph all of their accoutrement that goes with their industrial fishing, which is just some really cool stuff like this, like hairy, crazy stuff. Or then the orange balls that have to float, the buoy balls, and I don't even know how they unwrap this stuff to use it, but somehow I really like the challenge of organizing it in my frame. So this is Cape May, called Poverty Beach. This is the west end of the tip of Cape May. It's a beach that they call Poverty Beach because there's no resorts around it. It's just people live near there and they just walk their dogs there or sit on the beach. Doesn't have any special significance in that it's just local. And these pilings are no longer there. And this panoramic was made in a long exposure. This is a really difficult photograph to create. And I'm happy to say that it has sold now 6 times. It's pretty great. Here's the Cape May ships where we go down right when you enter Cape May, the right near the big lobster house is where they have the fishery, one of them, the one in town. This is a pano. They're always very organized, though I find ships very difficult to organize. And then I love to look at the details of the ship. So this is where the water runs out of the ship. And so they don't, I guess, sink when they're taking in all their fish and the water's running all over. It's like these little triangles are like funny.
They look like little sailboats. I thought they were little sailboat engravings or something. I didn't realize they were apertures at first. Pretty
Yes,
cool.
They are apertures. That's a great word. Yeah, Lisa. Yeah, that's where the water just has to go over. This is like the main part of the fishing vessel where they pull the nets in. I love the textures. Photographers love textures, right? Photographers? So many on here. I love that. So this is also how Cape May organizes its winter. This is winter in Cape May, where they put their little beach boxes. And I'm fascinated by beach boxes. Fencing and a long exposure down at Sunset Cove. And then, of course, in Cape May and in so many beach towns, there are waterways and tributaries that are just teeming with life because it's salt and fresh water often mixing. And this is right by the lighthouse. So when you're done shooting dawn at the lighthouse and the light's so bright, then you roll over to this little pond next door. You get out your long lens and you watch the egrets and the herons feed. And it's they're amazing and I love them. I'm not a birder. This is really hard shooting. But whenever I've grabbed a few, I'm always like, wow, I feel very lucky. But I'm going to practice some more birding this year.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
And this is Cape May, and this is a long exposure, but not very long. You can still see the movement. It's not totally fuzzed out. And, you know, I'm always looking for something to break up the landscape with and watch the sky change color and the sky reflect in whatever is breaking the waves. You usually get the color of the sky. And that's why I'm always looking for that. So that's just one example. Here's another one. This is by the nunnery, which has just been sold and is now going to become a research science center. I do believe it will be in marine work. So it was it's a beautiful, you'll see it in another shot, the nunnery, and it's awesome.
What a moment.
So this is Wildwood next to Cape May. So when we do our Cape May workshop, we always go to Wildwood because Wildwood is fabulous and it has colors and it's got puddles. And whenever it rains, we run to Wildwood because the boardwalk gets wet and it reflects and it's, you know, it's truly incredible. These are the beach boxes stored for this winter. Back to the lighthouse. So here's another attempt to get this shot of the lighthouse. Technically, it is underexposed. So you see a lot of grain. It is not quite yet competition ready. And I'm still working on it, but sometimes you have to fight a subject for quite a few years before you can really get it. And it's
You
an
really
LED light.
captured some stars too. You can see an amazing amount of stars.
And it was a starry night, and this was July. I'm trying to learn photo pills and stuff like that to learn when the stars are going to line up with this lighthouse. But I'm just going to say it now is an LED lighthouse. It is no longer like a regular old lighthouse. So the LED light is very different the way it strobes. So you don't get that. This is strangely traditional. I was very hard to get this kind of strobe out of an LED, but everything is turning LED. So photographers, get used to it. Again, this is those little tents that they put up in Cape May. When you go to Cape May, this is, if you go to the Congress Hall to stay, you can have one of these chaise lounges with your own little tent that looks a little like a circus. This is Avalon Pier. It's a lovely pier and did not get damaged by Sandy. I think that's one of the only things that I saw that did seem to withstand that storm. This is another view of it.
Yeah, that's a favorite spot.
This is the nunnery I'm referring to. So there's the Cape May Lighthouse. And this was where the nuns would retreat and meditate and teach and learn and whatever it is that nuns do in a retreat, they did it here. Kind of like our retreat that just got torn down in Long Branch, what, 2 years ago?
Pray, Andrea, they pray.
And they pray. And it's a beautiful, beautiful place. And now it will be a research for science, a center. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
cool.
one of the things that happens at the beach that's so much fun is that tides change the way the beach erodes. And this is about a mile down a very long and forgotten beach in Cape May where a railroad used to run, because occasionally if the high tide lasts long enough for as many days as it should last, it reveals a railroad track. An old corroded railroad track runs under this sand. So there's just all kinds of deviations and little sticks that were piers many, many years ago, I think, when they were moving things around when the trains were first built, because down in Cape May County, there are a lot of train routes, and many of them are no longer used. And we have photographed in many trains in Cape May, which are not going to be in the show because I don't consider those pictures of the beach or beach town interest, but they had a lot of trains. This is Cook's Beach. This is on the Delaware, near the East Point Lighthouse. It's like 2 beaches down. Again, just more broken up. And as you can see, that purple and pink long exposure. I'm gonna let Sam, you wanna let Sam in? Thank you. So another long exposure example. And again, looking back at the Cape May Lighthouse from that jetty in the morning. This is Sunset Cove. You can see I didn't even straighten this picture out. I felt I had to put a sun coming up in some picture in here, but honestly, as a photographer, that's when I pretty much pack my bag and go. I like it all before, and I'm trying to get into the orange ball that comes up in the sky. I'm working on it. Long Branch. I'm always out when the fishermen are out. Okay, I already showed you this one. This is our Wildwood crew. So back to talking about Wildwood and reflections. So this is just, it's so colorful there that if you go after the rain and we take our group there, this is the kind of stuff we get, the beach houses. They also have a marble tournament in Wildwood every year, and they put these giant marble competition areas into the sand, and giant groups of people play this big marble championship, and it's a big, big deal. I just think they're really cool structurally. And then of course there's the roller coaster, and it's a big one in Wildwood. And this guy was getting some sand moving around. A lot of big tractors. This is a huge beach. I don't know how many of you have been to Wildwood, but it's a huge, huge beach. You can walk so far, and then it's all very low tide, lots of low tide, and you can walk out and out and out and out into the water. It's just where it's situated on the Jersey Shore. It's an old check-in on the west part of Cape May. Right when you're going out of Cape May towards Wildwood, where boats come in and you would check in with your, I want to get my boat to the ramp. They don't have, this is gone. So many things are gone. Does anybody have any questions? It's been very quiet. Okay. Yes? Any chat questions, please?
Nothing in the chat.
Gotcha. Okay. So this is like this is gone. This is the 59th Street Pier in Ocean City. We used to call it the church. After Sandy, there was like 11 sticks left, and now they're completely gone. But this was an amazing place. This was the pier of 1918. It was a giant pier that went out, and it was the kind of early 1900s pickup area with the ladies with their petticoats and umbrellas. And you see a lot of images of this pier when it was in action. It was a big social, it was very long, and it curved out. And then it got hit by a storm, I believe in the 50s, if I'm correct. And then it got hit by another storm and eventually turned into this. And then Sandy left it with 11 or 12 sticks. We, of course, documented that. And now it's just gone. Morning, looking at Atlantic City from the 59th Street Pier. Beautiful color water there, and it's different there than it is anywhere else. And I just took a picture there in November, and it was that same kind of turquoisey teal blue. Again, more of the 59th Street Pier in different framing. I've studied this subject a lot. And there we are. That's what the 11 sticks are I was referring to. This was the end of it. And the sand tells the story of what happens at the beach. So this is the Cape May boats, the fishing pier where we go in the morning. The reflections, it's just cool. Really challenging subject for me, but I keep fighting it, keep fighting to win. And I cannot believe I found these. They were dead, but I have never seen such big crabs in Cape May. I thought someone went to the supermarket and put them there. I mean, that's how big they were, but nobody did that. Whoops. Okay, so this is, we're not even going to go back to the Lone Rock. This is Wildwood. And in the morning after a rain with people walking down the street, shadows. I set up, just like in Cuba, I set up, I find a place to set up and I watch what happens. More reflections of the boardwalk, in the boardwalk. This is Staten Island. There's a graveyard in Staten Island where these ships are just, it's like a ship graveyard. It's not so easy to get to. You got to climb through an old cemetery, and then you got to go out on the marsh. And if it's, there's some barking dogs in a nearby neighborhood. And so Lance knew where this was, so we found it and ran around out there, but it's pretty wild and crazy and dangerous. But I was trying to
A
figure out
bird
if I
nest
could
at the
think-
top?
Yeah, that's an osprey.
Oh, neat.
How long
Yeah.
ago did you find this?
So if you go, excuse me. So, you know, this is, Lance, are you on, honey? Is this in the north end of Staten Island? So Lance knows exactly where this is, and he's not talking because maybe he's eating dinner or maybe he's left the show.
About how long
But-
ago were you there?
During COVID. 6 months. It's still there.
Yeah, I
It is
tried to
still
find it
there.
with some friends and we had no luck about 2 years ago.
Is that Larry Ross?
Yep.
Yeah, I'll help you find it, Larry. Why don't we go together? It's very, very hard to move around in this space. You have to, it's off Arthur Kill, Lance just said. You have to trespass potentially to get this shot. But I knocked on, because I don't trespass, I knocked on the doors of the houses that were there and I was told no one was there right now. We walked around the back and the windows were broken. So we ventured in, but it was really super dangerous place. And I'm not afraid of dangerous places, but you do not want to go there alone. And there's a lot of climbing and a lot of bramble.
Yeah, we probably gave up too soon. We had gone through the cemetery you mentioned. Then
Yeah,
we
that
gave up on
cemetery
it.
is incredible, right?
Oh, yeah.
I'll go there with you, Larry. Like
Sounds
if we
good.
at least have 3 of us or 4 of us, then nobody falls because it is super dangerous. Okay. This is another piece of that. I need my I didn't have my 100 to 500 millimeter before I went here, but I would like to go back with that because the boats can be a little far out, some of the more interesting ones. And there's an industrial place across the way, and there's the landfill from Staten Island. If you could get on the landfill and drive down the road towards these boats, that would be the very best view. I have no idea how to be allowed into the landfill of Arthur Kill, which is the big garbage dump, you know. Okay, moving away from Staten Island and moving down to Virginia Beach. So you guys saw this on my invitation. So this is the Neptune statue. And this is a pano I did of the Neptune statue at dawn. And this gentleman here on the left came down to photograph as well. This is when Lance and I went on our little tour to present my panoramics in 4 places in Virginia, PPA, Professional Photographers Association affiliation in Virginia. And so everywhere we went, I did a pano and presented it that night and built it for them because I was there to teach them how I did panos. So this is from working at Ellis Island. So I was very, very, very fortunate. Oftentimes when we went, it was very foggy and you couldn't even see the lady. And that's one of the thrills of going to Ellis, the old part of the hospital, is seeing the lady. And when the fog started to lift, I ran back to this little room and grabbed it and yelled to everyone to run back. And then it was like a big, giant, crazy, nutty mess, but I got it.
That's interesting, Andrea, because it looks like the long exposure, which looked like fog or mist, but that was truly fog.
No, and you can see the water in the foreground, that it's not, and you can see the ripples. But
Yeah.
it was so foggy that when the fog started to lift and she started to be revealed, it was to me a very, timely statement. I get a lot of criticism on this photograph that the door and the chair and it's too much. It should just be a picture of the Statue of Liberty, but I can't figure that out. I think I needed the door and the chair, but a few people, photographers have said to me, it's too much stuff on the outside of that. I'm like, okay, to each his own.
I
This
think
is
it brings
Ellis
all the
on-
history. It brings all the history and it shows the moment that you just must have been delighted because you could see the sun just coming. It's really,
Yeah, I almost got all my hair pulled out because I was there, people wanted that shot too. So I'm like, get out of the way.
you got it, you got it.
I got it. I got it and I saw it. So this is Ellis. This is the old hospital. This side, we don't go in. It's still filled with asbestos, these in the foreground. And where we go in is the far hospital that you can see on the left. You can see the Statue of Liberty, and then you can see the hospital on the left in the back, because it's a big hue. It's shaped in a U, all the buildings, and there's a big courtyard in the middle. So this is the north side, and the south side's where we would travel through. All of our people came, and all of that money, most of that money went to save Ellis Island. And they are now building a new bulkhead, and they're doing a lot of stuff. Tony and I brought a lot of people there, especially Tony. I helped, but especially Tony. So again, this is infrared from that courtyard I was just talking about, in between the two buildings. We start our tour in that building in the center of the frame. That's the doctor's quarters, where the doctors lived. The two families of doctors that ran Ellis Island lived in that. It's a really nice little spot at the end there, looking right out at the statue. And this is an infrared shot, which is why everything's pink and blue and yellow. Okay, so now we're in Cape Cod at the national park. And this is another infrared shot of this very beautiful farm-like lighthouse. And you can see the photographers in our group on the road there, marching in with their tripods sticking up. It's right in the heart of Cape Cod in, geez, my mind just cannot remember exactly where, but it is, it's a main drag. It's got the big ships come in right there. So we're way out on the dock. It's a lot of marsh. At the beach in Cape Cod, you have an immense amount of marshland and grassland, which really lends itself to infrared, but this is not an infrared shot, but there's a large bird sanctuary as a result of all this marsh. There's lots of bird food. Marshes in Cape Cod. The clouds were behaving very well this day. This runs right out to the ocean. So this is a fresh and saltwater mix. It's a saltwater marsh, but there is some freshwater fish. I'm not exactly sure how it works.
It's brackish. That's really nice. I like that one.
Thank you.
You're
Was it-
welcome.
Was it,
Brackish.
was it Orleans or Truya? Truro? In Cape Cod
What?
where you were? Orleans? That's kind of the central,
This isn't, well, this is the salt marsh.
yeah.
Honestly, I cannot tell you exactly where this is, but it's a park. It's
Gorgeous.
one of the national parks, and it walks out in, you can walk out to this point. This is someone's home. This is their boat dock. There's, up on this hill to the right is a beautiful mansion.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is sunset in Cape Cod, which
Yeah.
often happens, again, because of the low tide at this particular area. You can see a lot of reflection in puddles.
Is that infrared?
No, that is, that
Wow.
is sunset. That is sunset. It was quite the display. There was about 20 of us, just lined up at the parking lot shooting this out to the beach.
Gorgeous.
It's a lot of fun to photograph with other photographers vying for position. So there's the house up on the hill I was referring to. This is an infrared shot of the salt marsh. Salt marsh. This is still in Cape Cod. This is just, wind destroyed winter beaches. And there's nothing like a little sand texture to make you happy.
A little texture.
Little texture and light and
One of my
shadow.
favorite places, Cape Cod.
Yeah, it's great. Such a great place. This is Nauset Light. It's in the national park. This is an infrared shot. So this lighthouse has been closed since COVID. It's still not open. And there's this funny little tree. Just can't help but use it. So funny. I always see like eyes and a mouth in lighthouses. Like this is another one. Like, oh, the two eyes and the little mouth window, little
Yeah.
hat. This is infrared of a fishing and boat dock area. This canoe was just left. This is infrared, as you can see, because the world is not pink, but infrared can see pink. This is another infrared shot, and this is the Three Sisters Lighthouse, which is also at the Nasset Light Park, the national park there, where Nasset Light is. And you walk in a little bit into the woods. I'm not exactly sure what these little lighthouses lit up, but I do know that each of these lighthouses had a light on top, but something happened, and only the middle one now has a light at this moment, this was 2019, right before COVID. So this is a bridge in Delaware that I tried to explore, these suspension bridges. They're pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've driven over that. Is that on 13?
Yeah, it's main
Yeah.
drag.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the little towns in, this is some of the, I like to photograph the boardwalk and the stores in the towns that are on the entertainment part of the beach. And this is Delaware stuffed shark display. And Delaware's got very blue and pink skies in this time of year, and this was early spring. Long exposure, and silver can get very silvery light in the morning because it's low. So here we are in Cuba. So all around Cuba is a wall and rocks that protect the island that have been built over 500 years or so. This is the Malecon. So this is in Havana, and this is where it's all happening. This is the 42nd Street of Cuba. So I'm going to show you a little bit about that. This is right on the water. You live right on the water in Havana. It's just, you're just always just one step away. That is looking at Moreau Castle and a storm. Gloria and Dick, I think you were there when we had this storm.
Isn't there always a storm over there?
Not like this.
Yeah, I
Yeah, not
remember
like
that.
Yeah, no, they have storms, but not big waves like this. And this was unprecedented. Sometimes you go around in Cuba and you come upon a restaurant or a place to have a coffee, and there's a picture of the Malecon getting hit with waves like this, very historic and famous storm. But no, this was big. They have storms, but this was really big. Like it was coming over. The cars couldn't drive.
Andrea, is that in infrared?
No,
No,
let me go back. No,
no, okay.
no, that is a storm sky sunset starting. Now, I'm going to tell you that I've never seen light, and Gloria and Dick can talk about this too. I'm happy to share. I have never seen light like I've seen in Cuba. Cuban light, I don't know. It's just different. It's
Intense.
it's intense.
Andrea, Iceland
Yes.
is the same way.
Got to go there. I got to go to Iceland.
Is it because the air is cleaner some way? They don't have all the industrials that we do? And
Where?
so in Cuba?
That's possible. I mean, they have a lot of fuel you know, if you drive along the, what's called the Blanco Highway or the White Highway, which we do take on our adventure now, when we leave Havana, we go through the middle of Cuba down to Trinidad, Cuba. And you will see all along the northern part of the coast, fuel burning factories, right, Dick and Gloria? Isn't that what those are? They're
Yeah.
like, you know,
Yeah, I think it's more the sun angle is what produces the effect. And in Iceland, it's kind of the reverse. The sun is always real low and you get a little different effect, but it's unique.
But when you go to Iceland, you go in the summertime and it doesn't get dark. So the sun is always out. And
yeah.
it's just so it
Yeah.
sparkles.
Yeah. Yeah, this was
I
in
don't-
January. So it's
Yeah, this is January. Yeah, this is January in Cuba. So I don't, yes, I'm
that's the
sorry.
Atlantic, actually.
Oh, the Atlantic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Looking.
Yeah, this is the Atlantic because this is 90 miles north of here is Florida. Straight from here, 90 miles straight north.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know why. I mean, it is the angle of the sun, but it's tropical and it's where it is on the close to the equator and the change of the direction. It's just, but there is something about the light in Cuba that is unprecedented. It just,
Yes, agree.
but I haven't been everywhere. I have not been everywhere. So I'm willing to find out that that's wrong. Again, more Malecon. And so this wall and this water, and people go climb around down here on this wall and they put flowers and they sit, and there's a lot of love making on the wall, and it's very, it can be, it's almost too much, honestly. So I'm just showing this picture because I love to tell this story. So this was my first year in Cuba and I was staying in a people's apartment. That's how we live in Cuba. We stay in people's homes, or they're like equivalent to Airbnb. But at this time I was staying in a spare room of an older couple that had quite a doll collection. And I was in this little room and I woke up in the middle of the night because I thought something was eating like near me. It was like a sound. And it was fish jumping, full moon feeding frenzy right out the window. It was a full moon feeding frenzy. So I got my camera, which was already, of course, up on the tripod, and started shooting because I really should have taken a movie because it's loud. But what I really like about this picture also is this weird building that they built obviously way after the other buildings that nobody lived in, that had 1 or 2 lights in it. So this is the kind of action you see on the Malecon. This was you guys were not with me, but this was last time we were in Cuba, right before COVID lockdown. This is a big star from Florida. I cannot remember her name, but there's this wild video going on and people dance on the wall at the Malecon. They get up on the wall, they risk their lives for art. It's fantastic. So one of the places that we go is a little co-op. And this was one of the first co-ops in Cuba that was, I gotta pick up our speed here because we're way back and it's 8 o'clock. Hold on one second, let me see where I am. So this is where fishermen live. It's a co-op and they make their own money and they sell their goods back to the state and to people. And so this is one of the first capitalist enterprises in Cuba, and it's in the town that Hemingway lived in, which it's remarkable that I can't remember the name because I know it so well, but I'll think of it in a second. But this is the little fishing town. Here's some shots from it. I'm going to roll through. So this man lives there. He lives very well. This is a good living. And this is what they do to their little shacks. And you can't really walk on the ground because it's water, sloppy mud water with little crabs, little red clawed crabs. So you can see the different architectural designs. Everything is handmade. Fan-freaking-tastic. That's all I can say. And then, of course, In the middle of the day, there's no fishing too hot, domino time. And it is heavy. Love it. These guys are so cool with their all-American shirts on. So a lot of pelicans in Cuba and a lot of rainbows and a lot of garbage. A lot of garbage. And dogs. And this is their dock, which last year they wouldn't let us go on anymore.
Oh,
So everywhere you go in Cuba, there's a wall where the water is. But where most people go when they visit Cuba is to the Veradero all-inclusive, and you can have this instead of all that other stuff I was showing you.
oh.
And I
That's
feel
not
it
the
needs
real
to be
Cuba.
that, and I feel this truly needs to be infrared because it's surreal, man. This is the kind of wall that people build in Cuba to protect the waves from encroaching on their livelihood and life. Back to Long Branch. I have that again. Let's skip it. Okay, so we're back in Long Branch, which means we're making progress here. So this is one of the little spots, hideaways at Sandy Hook. This is one of the, I don't know, bomb shelters,
Bunkers.
bunkers. Well, it's sinking. It's bonkers. The Lighthouse. What'd you say, Lil? Or Betsy?
Oh, no, I just said a bunker. I think I climbed in
Yeah,
that one
bunker.
with the grandkids.
I
You
love
did?
the definition of the stonework on that.
This is a
Yeah.
great place to shoot. It's so cool, but you can only go so far out before you fall right over into the road, down,
Yeah,
tumbling down to the bridge. So it does not have a lot of front property. You cannot, it's very hard to get a shot of the entire thing, I find. Point Pleasant, Deal Casino, this is all Jersey Shore, infrared, exclusive beach club, Ocean Beach Club for the very few. Their inside party area, love it, love the fans. This is all infrared work of people at the beach. I'm trying to get us to the end here, gang, and we got a little bit to go, so I'm gonna roll along. This is the old Roosevelt Avenue beach next to this old Surfers Beach. And this used to be this Troutman's, is that, Betsy, is that Troutman's River or whatever? That used to go into Roosevelt Avenue. I can't remember what it's called. I think it's
it's
The one we
called
called
Creek.
Poo Poo River
Poo Poo.
for all
I'm so
those years.
I didn't call it Poo Poo, but okay. But anyway, now it's all filled in and there's pretty houses there that will soon flow out to sea.
Oh, boy.
They built them right on top of this, man. And this comes from the watershed. This comes from the watershed, the Tallahassee watershed. Oh, yes. During the pandemic, the beaches got a little crowded. And now we can play volleyball at Pier Village. All infrared studies. The iconic windmill hot dog beach phenomenon in Long Branch. What's the beach without the windmill in West End, huh?
Yeah.
More sand. Love the sand. My husband and our dog Cleo, who's gone over the rainbow. And they've cleaned all of this up. There are no more sticks sticking up anywhere. They were dangerous, but they're beautiful. Yes, gotta do the, what is that? The polar plunge, crazy. And then of course, let's exercise on our surfboards on the boardwalk. More bunkers, This is actually where the guns would come out. That's why it's circular, and they could, this was a gun, you know, they moved it back and forth. It had a little track,
Yeah.
and there's a, what, Lance? My husband's yelling from the first floor. Thank you. So helpful. I kind of like this one because it looks like one bird standing on top of the other, but
Yeah.
a lot of work clam digging. And yes, I have asked my friends to go stand in the water while I do a long exposure, and don't move as the waves hit you, okay? I have very
Been a
nice
good
friends,
friend.
very nice friends. It was cold,
Yeah.
more infrared, beachcomber. The old
And if-
pool at,
A
yes.
beachcomber of another sort.
Yes, no, right, bird comber. This was our old retreat, which is gone now in Long Branch. This was their pool that when they were tearing it down, I went in there. Long Branch in the morning. Long Branch in the morning. We have a nice beach here. Okay, real quick, lots of damage from Sandy. It completely changed the face of the Jersey Shore. Everything's changed since Sandy, just not the same. We're still rebuilding on so many levels. And then we had fires. So you all know that, but this is what we were left with. And I was drawn to it and fascinated beyond belief. And I risked my life to get some of these shots. I would not do that now, but at the time I did. But I was right at the end of this. It was nuts. It was nutty. Phillips Avenue, Stanley Conover Pavilion. Yeah, I was right there. Yeah, crazy. This is the driftwood, panoramic of the driftwood, blown back by Sandy like a Pez dispenser.
Yeah. Oh, the wolf moon.
Yes. Old Fun House. The old Howard Johnson's, which is now McClune's, but
Yeah.
for those of us who grew up here, this was where we had fried clams.
Mm-hmm.
Yum.
And of course, the iconic Convention Hall in the morning during the summer.
It almost
Nice.
looks like you,
Nice star on the end, yeah.
what I was gonna say, it almost looked like you planted the star.
So when you close down your f-stop to a 22, you can get a star effect from lights that are pointed at your lens. So I did that on purpose. That's fun to do.
If you notice all the way on the left, you've got the stars also.
Yeah.
Anywhere that a light is shining, you close down to a 22 or more on your lens, that light will become, especially if you can block it with something, that's when it really works, if you got it popping from behind something. And then, of course, I love looking at the architecture on this building, on the Convention Hall.
Yeah.
This is called Old Man in the Sea, at the sea. Old Man at the Sea.
That's a photo?
Yeah,
looks
and I
like
painted it.
illustration.
I painted it with oil, digital oil paint and a brush.
Mhm.
The computer one day when I had nothing else to do. This is the other end of Asbury Park, the old casino. And this is the merry-go-round, which is now skateboard park at the time that I shot this.
My son always used to go there skateboarding with his buddies.
Yeah, I used to go on the merry-go-round and in the fun house there. And there was a roller rink.
Oh,
This is,
Seaside,
where is this, Andrea?
seaside.
Thank you, Seaside. Seaside during COVID. Oh, good, we're at the end. So this is Ross Island. Ross Island is a little spot that they used to duck hunt from and stuff. And watch, I think it was mostly duck hunting, and the waterways, what are their names? The title bomb. She is restored. They've restored it and cleaned it, and now they have a floating dock that goes out to it.
Faith
Um,
Teitelbaum.
Thank you. And
You're
what's the
welcome.
waterways? I did their
So it's
card,
like
and I
Lake Tackanassie, or
yes, this is Lake Tackanassie
Yeah.
waterways. This is what used to file out, I think, to that Poo Poo River there, Bets.
I think it's connected to that watershed. Whale
It
Pond.
is.
Clarified, poo-poo is the Poplar Brook in Deal.
Oh, Poplar Brook is Poo Poo.
Yeah.
Right, okay, watershed is Long Branch and Tackanassie, got it. Poo Poo River. Anyway, thank you very much, everybody, for coming. I want you to know that I have a show opening up with the New Jersey Repertory in their 3D virtual gallery called Chasing the Invisible, which will be all infrared beach work that I've been shooting now for about 6 years. And you can just kind of sit back, and we're working on the voiceover and the artist introduction. So if you go to my website and you join my newsletter, you will know when this opens. I'd love for you to come. I want to thank everybody for coming tonight and
Oh,
stopping by the beach with me.
this was
I tried to-
beautiful.
Thank you so much.
I tried to
Yeah.
stop the
Andrea, loved it.
hair.
Beautiful
Thank you.
stuff. Thank you.
Really beautiful. I don't know, some of your photos, they make me almost want to eat them. It's like an odd reaction I get. It's like the colors. Just like,
Ice cream,
yeah, I just want to take it in.
marzipan.
Really wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for
Thank
presenting
you.
that for us and for the library tonight.
Thank you
Yeah.
for having me.
You're
And
welcome.
thanks everybody for coming.
Great show.
Thank you,
Good
Andrea.
Very good.
Thank you,
Thank you very
everyone.
much.
Good
Wonderful.
night.
Andrea, come to Florida to visit.
Okay,
Bye.
Everybody,
all right.
Bye.
night. Stay safe this weekend.
Really-
Y'all come back now, as we say in the South.
Bye.
Thanks, Lise.
You're welcome, Andrea.